Hey, you know what time it is because it's Friday, and you know what that means?
That means TLF, my boy.
Yeah, tier list Fridays, and today we have a very special occasion because we're looking at healers in Mythic Plus dungeons.
After the new patch.
Oh yeah, well, there's still data to be collected and stuff, but just to lay it all before we get into it, do note that all of these healer specs have cleared easily 15 plus and 20 plus. Now we're gonna look at like the highest keys that these specs did, and we can also talk about the affixes because I think last week was a pretty good week to push for.
Yeah, that's also a thing that you need to understand, is that last week was the best week in terms of affix combinations, the easiest week to push keys with. So pretty much everybody and their mom got really good keys last time, and most of this research, for better or worse, is done in the prism of 9.0, because that's kind of all the data that we have to work with. The new patch hit a couple of days ago, and there are specs that seem to be doing pretty well.
Oh yeah,
we'll look into it. We'll need a couple of weeks at the very least to establish the 9.0.5 meta, although it probably won't change too much.
Well, we'll definitely see, because there's a lot of changes coming to some covenants, so we can look at that priest especially, but not only. The thing is, we do the analysis with the data based on the week prior. This is why we don't have a lot of 9.0.5 stuff running in, and the research consists of taking a lot of data from Warcraft logs, from Radar.io, and also a lot of feedback from top players and theory crafters to make like a proper image of everything that is happening. We cannot get too lazy with the research, okay?
Well, to be fair, it's hard to not be lazy with all this working from home madness. But one way to boost your productivity up is with Skillshare, the main option for us when it comes to online learning communities. There's tons of classes on productivity, project management, video editing, graphic design, things we implement here at Marcelian&Online on a daily basis.
Speaking of productivity, one of the best courses that made a huge impact on me is the Productivity Masterclass from Ali Abdal, who, apart from him also being a YouTuber, he's also a full-time doctor at the UK NHS and also teaches psychology at the University of Cambridge. His takes on multitasking, Parkinson's Law, or the Pareto Principle are so fresh and so easy to understand and implement. It truly helped a lot in setting things up around our office.
You can also get this class and many others by clicking on the link in the description, as the first 1,000 of our subscribers will get a free trial of premium membership, and after that, for under $10 a month, you gain access to all the other amazing classes on topics you are interested in. It really helps us if you click that link, so thank you Skillshare for sponsoring this video. And now let's check our boy Discipline Priest. Man, okay, Discipline Priest. Well, if I am not mistaken, it did get a nerf to Spiritual, which was one of the coolest new additions to Discipline in Shadowlands, but
it was, yes,
maybe not the most used in dungeons. I know for sure that I've seen a lot of Disciplines run lenient, so I don't know if that nerf will essentially affect Discipline too much in dungeons. It's still pretty good. I think Spiritual is still good if you want to run with it, but if I'm not mistaken, most Discipline Priests run lenient anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it was quite known that Spiritual was the main thing to go for in raids, although there were a pretty good chunk of Discipline Priests running Spiritual in dungeons too. I don't think it happened necessarily with the last affixes from last week. But it's definitely a viable option. Now, it did get nerfed. It doesn't mean that this priest is not viable. It's still really good. You have to remember that the damage component of this priest is like one of the key factors, but there's a strong competitor on that department.
We'll get to it later. And last time we did, I think, DPS in dungeons, we actually talked about the highest keys that they've cleared. Now, the thing is, when we talk about this, we're taking data from Radar.io and Warcraft logs. Not everybody registers or logs their own keys. So there could be people that might be clearing higher, although it's undoubted, and if that's the case, maybe just like one key higher. But right now, Discipline cleared 20 plus 25 as the highest key cleared by Discipline Priest, which is, I mean, it's plus 25.
It's plus 25, and also, we have to touch upon, some strengths and weaknesses on this. Obviously, we mentioned the damage this priest can do, and also, I think this priest has one of like the biggest skill caps for this priest is to prep, to know how to prep and start your ramp up to be able to prevent a lot of the damage. And if you do that properly, this priest is probably the best healers to prevent damage, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't have the biggest throughput necessarily, but if played right, you can almost always prevent incoming stuff.
So it's always better to prevent damage.
Yeah.
We have Dome, we have Pain Suppress, we have Lenience as well,
course.
which
Anyway,
kind of adds up.
Plus, you know, it's a very nice power infusion bot for some specs like Fire Mages, Affliction Locks. So if we were to like make a conclusion based on all of this, I think this priest that can go into a solid S tier,
definitely
still
performing a nudge above almost all of the others.
Yeah, still, and I know like in terms of like mid-level play, like let's say like to keys from 7 to, I don't know, 10, 12 or whatever, a lot of people struggle with this priest, which is quite expected because it doesn't work. It doesn't work, and you have to have a party that understands how you can do healing, and even that healing through attunement damage isn't enough sometimes. Don't worry if you have to spend Shadowlands, but that can always be avoided by prepping and preventing. You really have to know as a this priest all the mechanics of the dungeons to be able to do right. But okay, enough about this priest. It's an S tier. Let's move along to probably the strongest healer at the moment, or for last week at least.
I think it was in our previous tier list as well. And if you look on the screen right now, we did have a ranking.
Oh yeah,
last time, and I think Discipline was S tier that time as well, and now we're talking about Holy Paladin clearly, and it's actually a very similar healer to Discipline in the way that it helps the party. You have a lot of damage prevention.
Of course.
You have Devotion Aura, which is the lenience essentially. You have Aura Mastery, you have Sacrifice Bop, you have...
Yeah, but that's the thing. I think one of the main differences is like Holy Paladin doesn't necessarily require a ramp up. Like you play with the Glimmer talent, you can pump on. This is the difference. Damage prevention, of course, Holy Paladin has it, but I think its strongest point is like dealing that damage to Grimmel, Holy Shucks, and also massive burst heals coming all the time, which this priest doesn't really have.
This priest doesn't. So okay, so if we're gonna be talking them, if we're gonna compare them one-on-one, I think Discipline Priest has the better cooldowns. I think
for sure.
Undoubtedly, Discipline Priest probably has the best healer cooldowns in the game.
In terms of damage prevention.
Damage reduction, damage prevention is always the best thing to do. However, Holy Paladin has the most damage.
Yeah, exactly.
I have seen some stupid fucking shit. Man, I've seen
I know.
I forgot his name, the Holy Paladin that plays with Gingy and, you know, the big boys, they're in MDI. He was streaming a plus 18, the other side he had 17k DPS, obviously with Prideful and everything, on Hakar. The other side, he was he finished on the number one.
Well, we're talking about some of the creme de la creme players here.
It's power infusion. It's a lot of things that go into that.
But one thing I do want to add, when because we talked about this priest now. Holy Paladins, as opposed to like this priest in terms of mid-level play, you know, plus 7 to 12s or whatever, Holy Paladin can feel really, really strong and can solve issues much more faster. Like I'm talking more in a pug environment, stuff like that, where this priest really depends on the party. It does
have a lot more oh shit buttons, clearly. And obviously it's a little bit more tanky because you're a plate bearer, you have a shield, you are in the meat of the fucking thing.
There. And also, Holy Paladin cleared the biggest key so far from the data.
Plus 26. This is interesting because when I looked at Warcraft logs, Holy Paladin and Discipline Priest cleared the same amount of key, the same top key. But on Radar.io, we have the plus 26 being the highest key that Holy Paladin cleared, which clearly puts him into S tier. I mean, there's no S plus tier. It's more popular than Discipline Priest. I do have to mention this. We have essentially a top 20 snip of the Radar.io, the most popular top 20 keys you can see on the screen right now. Most of them are Holy Paladins. There are a couple of Discipline Priests, and if we go through pages, you'll eventually find all the other healers. Of course. But Holy Paladin is probably the best performing healer at 25 and higher.
Well, that being said, if you look at our previous tier list, right, on healers, you would see here at the bottom of the tier list Holy Priest.
Now what happened to Holy Priest, man?
Man, let me tell you, Holy Priest is actually up there with this priest in terms of damage, and this is interesting.
Damage.
Yes, it's interesting because damage aside, right? You know, it's kind of does the same, but you cannot really compare the two when it comes to healing throughput. Like Holy Priest
Yeah.
can really double down on that thing, and it raised so much in value right now. It's insane. I even saw like Automatic Jack get into it and talk about, you know, the quote-unquote off-meta healing spec of Holy. And it's actually getting more traction.
I don't know if we did look at the highest key, and I did notice that it was surprisingly close. And I was like, oh, well, what's going on here? Well, clearly Holy Priest has a lot more throughput. The cooldowns are rolling around, just doing more healing, which means that I'm thinking Holy Priest can be good with a comp that has a lot of defenses as well. Passive defenses, stuff that you can survive, that you're not punished for not having damage reduction cooldowns from a proper healer. And then you can just solve all of that with like bam, some healings. And if I'm not mistaken, it could be, I don't know if it's Automatic Jack, because we know he's one of the biggest Holy Priest healers.
Yes, he's like really known for this priest gameplay, but he did this is the thing, right? Like he did play a lot of Holy Priest recently, and also like made a video about it. So it's definitely climbing back. It's seen a lot of plays. Biggest key a Holy Priest did is a plus 25, which, you know, we didn't really see that a couple of weeks ago or a month ago, and that bumps it up, I think, into the A tier, right? I mean,
yes, it bumps it all the way up. I mean,
wow,
it's performance is really close to discipline, clearly. Now, it's hard to say if they're equal, because from a design perspective, always, like we said, the damage prevention is better than just being able to solve the damage. Hopefully you don't have to. No. Maybe discipline can be an A tier, maybe Holy can be, I don't think Holy can be an S tier. I don't think it's up there with Holy.
Well, we'll see. Time will tell. We will look at the night.
In a couple of weeks worth an update.
Probably these things will change, but so far so good. I'm happy for the Holy Priest. Let's kick it up a notch. And now we move it to the Mistweaver Monks, who, again, guys, we're gonna talk a little bit about Mistweaver, but I want to stress this again. You can, all the specs do 15 plus keys and 20 plus keys. Oh my god,
that's such a dead giveaway, like how we're gonna class Mistweaver. Okay, and it was a funny choice of words when you say kick it up a notch, but then we go to Mistweaver. Alright guys, there's no surprise, Mistweaver has not been performing as well as the other healers this expansion, but the highest key that Mistweaver has cleared is a plus 23. And I bet your asses, like 99% of you guys, us included, haven't really cleared a plus 23 yet. So I think it's fine. If you want to play Mistweaver, you're good to play Mistweaver. Don't worry. It's just that it doesn't have the big burst,
the juices. Yeah, it has big throughput. No problem. I think one of the biggest throughputs. That's just a staple of Mistweaver. Plus, you know, a lot of mobility. It can really dodge stuff a lot, as opposed to like Holy Paladins or this priest. It does lack the damage, although it can do damage. It cannot do as much as Holy Paladin or this priest, or at this point even Holy Priest as well. Of course, you're probably gonna have a Mistweaver Monk in a group where you don't have a Windwalker, right?
That's actually a point that I wanted to get to. We all know that Windwalkers have been fixed, and their fix essentially nerfed their AoE damage by supposedly 10 to 20%, which is gonna be felt at the higher level of play, and Brewmasters were not going to be your ideal tank if you wanted to be competitive at reach that #1 spot, which means that the only other monk spec that you would have had for the debuff would be a Windwalker, which you don't have right now. So Mistweavers might still be more play, because right now they're the least popular healer.
Yeah, Mystic Touch is always great. Ring of Peace, you know, in caps and all that. So they're really good. And also, you cannot forget about Revival on Mistweaver Monks.
That used to be one of the biggest things in BFA.
And I mean, it still is. And we can expect, like, if we move further into Shadowlands and get, you know, a lot of poisons and diseases, you know, in terms of like affixes.
We have a couple, but mostly curses this time around.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Revival is still a very, very strong cooldown to be used. And once again, Mistweaver clear the plus 23, like the biggest. If you want to go for like 10s, 15s, no problem whatsoever. Just go for it. But for now...
Yeah, see, the thing is with Mistweaver, it's the least popular healers played, so all of the best healers most likely play Paladin or Priest. So it's really hard to gauge it, because it's a notch behind everybody else. And now, normally I would have went with C tier, but I think they're way better than C tier, so I'm going to put them into B. And I have a feeling that Mistweaver is going to be a little bit better and better as 9.0.5, as we're reaching 9.1. We'll see in the next couple of months.
Okay, now let's check out the Resto Druid, which... I have to say right off the back, it's really popular. It's played.
I think it's the most popular healer. Right now.
It's
all of them.
Definitely, definitely, it's the most played. That doesn't necessarily translate into like super big performances. Like they haven't cleared the biggest keys. There's still like the biggest one is at a plus 23.
Right.
But that being said, you know, we can talk a lot about Resto Druid's utility, or should I say, you know, Boomkin Convoke helping out with the damage. I guess a lot of druids want to do that and tend to do that, which is totally fine. But in terms of what it can do, I feel Resto Druid has like one of the most relaxed ways into like switching and dealing damage. Why? Because you basically, if you know what you're doing, you prep up, you set up HOTS, and then you're free to do
that's
whatever.
what I always enjoyed about Resto Druid and BFA, because I haven't played it yet. Mostly Marcelian plays it right now. But yeah, Resto Druid's kit, I mean, we all know, and even after the Mastery nerf, it's just made around dungeons. It's made around healing like five group of people, especially Wild Growth. Wild Growth hits, I think, if I'm not mistaken, 6 people. But even 5, that's really good, and it's easy to put a lot of HOTS on a smaller number of people, and then have your Mastery scale up with that. So Resto Druid's kit is always going to be really good for Mythic Plus if you're interested in playing it, and we really recommend it. It's fun. It's so versatile, man.
It's super versatile, yes, and it's very, very rewarding. Once you learn to trust your HOT, it becomes such a smooth healer to play, and it's really like the most unique I've ever played so far. And I played Holy Paladin, this Priest, I played all the healers except Resto Shaman. Resto Shaman I haven't played that, but only in Legion and PvP. But I feel this one is like so unique just because of all the ways you smoothly circle through HOTS and cooldowns and stuff. Plus Convoke is still a very satisfying spell.
Even with healing, man, like I've seen some shit.
Oh yeah, no worries. Plus you have to remember, druids have, you know, the Soothe, the Cyclones, the Roots, the Vortexes, a lot of utility, especially for tanks, right?
That's so good. So, with the kiting and all of that bullshit, and Roots on Plaguefall. I cannot stress how good Roots on the first boss of Plaguefalls are.
That's what it is. So in terms of placing it on our tier list over here, I think it's safe to say it's in front of Mistweaver, but still in a B tier. This is only because the biggest key is plus 23.
They're pretty equal in the top performance. I feel like Resto Druid is a little bit better than Mistweaver, but putting Mistweaver into C tier felt a little bit weird because it doesn't really deserve to be in C tier. Maybe Druid can be in A tier, but I think they might be missing I don't know, maybe a little bit more damage to be a little bit better, because I don't know, I feel like Iron Bark is maybe one of the best things that you're doing. When I see Iron Bark on me, I am
relaxed, baby, just go.
Fuck. But moving on to the last healer, and one of the most popular healers that has been until now, until Resto Druid.
Your favorite, or I guess your most played in Shadowlands.
It's one of the funnest healers for me to play. It's Resto Shaman. Clearly, Resto Shaman was the choice for a lot of people until people realized, wait, Holy Paladin is fucking
It's open.
Clearly, Resto Shaman and the Druid alike are really good right now because of the curses. Like we mentioned, all of the curses. There's so many curses you can take away. Think of the jumping bullshit from the other side. The stone thing from Halls of Atonement from the second boss. You know, you can just not get stunned, and that's pretty big. So all of that utility is good. We've talked before about totems and how Spirit Link is the best thing the world can give you at any point in time.
Definitely, and we have to remember Resto Shamans have a lot of throughput as well. Like in terms of like, you know, big run numbers, they can do pretty well. And also, man, Bloodlust. I mean, come on.
I was about to say, if for some weird reason your party does not have a mage or a hunter, praise the Shaman, man. I mean, who's gonna take elemental enhancement? Who? What? Resto Shaman, guys. All right.
Right.
So it's still there. It's still really good. It might be a notch behind Paladin and Discipline Priest,
but it's still A tier for sure.
It's A tier. I think it was close to making it into S tier. The thing is, the reason why it didn't make it into S tier is because we've looked at the most popular healers played at the top 20, I think I will look all the way up to top 100. There are very few Resto Shamans there. Not because they cannot be there, but most likely they're missing like 1 or 2 things that put them right on top with Holies and Discipline.
So I think.
No, but I still love Chain Harvest, man. I think that's one of the coolest things to see and also benefit from.
Oh,
It's
you
like,
say
oh,
that,
so
but
good.
actually the Resto Shamans at the top, we all are Necros. Like Necro Boys, Necro
But
Riptides.
I used to love that.
Yeah,
man.
Chain Harvest is pretty cool.
Yeah. But that being said, it looks pretty good and way different than what we had previously, like a month ago with the healers. So obviously we're gonna have the top 2 Holy Paladin, this priest, you know, being the S tier, Resto Shaman, Holy Priest in the A tier, and really happy for the Holy Priest jumping in there.
Yeah, that's probably the biggest, let's say, upset. The underdog coming in, jumping like I think it jumped 2 tiers for us.
Definitely.
And if you look at right now, we talked a lot about the popularity, but if you look at the popularity, actually, Holy is very close to Discipline as opposed to last time where I think it was something like in the single digits, percentage-wise, and Discipline Priest was way up there, kind of like where Holy Paladin is right now. But yeah, and a lot more people play Mistweaver, which is also really good.
Oh, I'm happy for the people playing Mistweaver, and as you said, it might get even better as the patches move along. But in terms of popularity, it's pretty interesting. You know, like the restorations are like the stars here.
That's pretty cool. It is.
Resto Shaman and Resto Druid. Looking at the whole picture, you can definitely, if you play whatever healer, you can do just fine. And I mean, if you're really pushing 23 plus keys, then maybe you would take a decision based on this. If not, this is purely made like, you know, analysis wise, you know, have a discussion.
To give you a sense, because there's a lot of community perception right now that are just not letting people get into keys. Like I've been in those shoes, and it sucks. Guys, if a Mistweaver applies to your group, that's fine. It's a really good healer. Everybody's okay.
Exactly. We cannot stress this enough when it comes to the community perception, and it happens to DPS. Probably happens to tanks, although not that much because everybody wants a tank. The main idea is all these specs can perform well, and if you're plugging a plus 10 or a plus 12 or plus 13, 14, whatever, you can take any of these specs, no problem, and do just fine.
For sure.
We want to first of all thank our Patreons for always being here and supporting our content. You know, the 2 class guys per week, the Monkcast podcast, you know, TLF Fridays. Also, twitch.tv/MarcelianOnline. Hey, viewers, followers, subscribers, everybody in there, the Discord gang, we love y'all. And
thank you very much.
If you want to join any of these, check the links in the description. It's all good, baby. Yeah, right there. Thank you for watching up until this point.
See you next time.
Have a great weekend.
I've been loving it then, I still love it now. Still, I play WoW. Still, I play WoW. Getting better every day, let me show you how. Cause still, I play WoW. Still, I play WoW. It's getting harder to stay, but at the end of the day, it's a guilty pleasure, so just log in and play. Whether it's classic or retail, I'ma do a /bow. Still, I play WoW.